So the answers that you've given me thus far, in my mind, these are the groundwork for the thing that I think is as interesting. I mean, I think we could have a fantastic technology discussion, but the socio-economic discussion, I think, is every bit as interesting. And so I want to ask you a question or two.
Sure.
The last two sentences of chapter 5 in your book are, when the true power of artificial intelligence is brought to bear, the real divide won't be between the United States and China. Instead, the most dangerous fault lines will emerge within each country, and they will possess the power to tear them apart from the inside. Woo!
Yes.
Woo! You want to explain that?
Sure. Because AI is the biggest inequality multiplier. While we've already seen the computer and internet and mobile revolution make the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, whether in US or in China, probably more accentuated in the US. One looks at the divisiveness of US today, a lot of it is caused by the haves and have-nots. And the haves have more because a new AI company can be worth $1 billion in 2 years. So that's going to make a bunch of people really rich. On the other hand, the product they build might take away 20 million jobs. And that's going to make those 20 million people have to go through either a retraining process or go on welfare or get laid off and so on. So it's doubly multiplying, right? On the one hand, making the rich richer, on the other hand, making the poor poorer. So that is the tension that will emerge within US and within China. Now, if you think that's bad, other countries are in worse shape because at least US and China have these billion-dollar companies that will contribute revenue and make people wealthy, and around wealthy people there will be a service industry to provide luxury products, and the governments will tax the rich, ultra rich and try to do some redistribution. So at least there's more money to be taxed and go around. So the solutions are hard, but at least the money is there. But imagine a poorer country. They're not going to have those billion-dollar companies to tax to help the people who are just like in US and China. The routine workers will be gradually replaced by AI and automation. So these poorer countries are going to be stuck with just the poor getting poorer, but no rich class being grown. So they're going to be in much worse shape. Furthermore, if they had hoped to follow the China model, which is use lower cost labor to make some money and then get wealthier as a country over time, well, that model's gone because the Chinese type of manufacturing outsourcing job in the next 10 or 15 years will be automated by robots. Similarly, if they wanted to follow the India model, that is using their English-speaking or training an English-speaking population to do IT call center outsourcing, well, those jobs will also be gone in the next 10 or 15 years. So they don't really have a very clear roadmap towards progressive development and evolution into a developed country.
Yeah, they're literally those economic rungs of the ladder, they're gone. And there's no income to distribute kind of via universal basic income. They're going to have none of those resources. All right, so let's talk Turkey about that. What do you, I mean, in your opinion, I think it's called technological unemployment. What are we looking at in the U.S. As AI comes to fruition?
In terms of technical capability for AI and automation to displace human jobs, I think in the next 15 to 20 years, about 40% of the jobs can probably be displaced technically and economically. The actual unemployment may be delayed by some number of years due to regulations, unions and corporate decisions and things like that. So we're talking very large numbers, but we're not talking about a giant unemployment number. I think AI will create a lot of jobs, and I also think there will be new jobs that will be either creative or compassionate. For example, jobs that AI cannot do. AI cannot create. AI has no ability to think of a strategy. AI has, in fact, no common sense. AI cannot be a good companion, teacher, elderly care, nanny, nurse, and so on. And many of those jobs are growing categories. And furthermore, there will be jobs that we cannot predict, and there will be hundreds of millions of them, just like the internet. Who would have thought 20 years ago that the internet would have led to so many Uber drivers? So these are job categories created over time. So I'm not a pessimist in saying that there will be no jobs left in 20 years. There will be a lot of jobs. But what we do know is, A, the new jobs, we don't know what they are, so it's a little hard to train. B, the new jobs are likely to be non-routine jobs, because why would AI cause a routine job to be created? Because AI could just do it itself. And C, the displacement is already beginning to happen and will grow. So we can't just wait for that equivalent of the Uber job to come out of AI. So so I think in the shorter term, we need to look at how to do income redistribution from the ultra-rich, whether it's by tax or some other mechanism. Secondly, just redistributing the money is not enough, because with the loss of jobs, the loss of income is secondary. The loss of meaning is primary. So people who have loved their jobs as an electrician or mechanic or truck driver or customer service rep now will feel unclear what their life's mission and value is. And and also the new jobs created will require some amount of training, whether they want to be a aeronautic repair person or a nanny or elderly care or nurse. These jobs, those safe jobs, will require training. So I think it's incumbent on government and corporations to look at this not as a solving unemployment problem and throwing money to them like universal basic income, but rather finding ways to retrain the people who are displaced so that they can again be gainfully employed and find a new meaning to their lives.
I think that there's going to be kind of a wasteland in there. I think that the coal miners have already said, hey, look, we don't really care to be retrained, and the truck drivers are going to be next. And I think we're in for like a really wild ride when it's the college educated people that, bought into the idea that if they studied hard and worked hard, they'd, have productive working lives. And I don't see those folks wanting to be trained.